Good morning everybody, and I bring warm wishes from National Polytechnic Institute from the Interdisciplinary Research Center for Environment and Development. This is from Mexico City, and I wish to send a message for this wonderful event which is being held in VOC College, Thoothukudi, Department of Geology. And this event is planned for the retirement of Professor Udayana Pillai, and as an alumni I would like to wish all my teachers, especially to Professor Udayana Pillai, for inviting me to this message. Sorry that I am not able to be there directly to your to the college and to the function, but anyhow I will be sending this video message so that anytime I do visit to India, I will have an opportunity to come and meet you all. And now I would like to give a small presentation, a glimpse of your alumni from the Department of Geology, VOC College, India. As you are seeing on the presentation, I am Dr. Jonathan from the Interdisciplinary Center for Environment and Development from National Polytechnic Institute from the Mexico City. And first I would like to tell you that I am a student of the VOC College, Department of Geology, VOC College from 1989 to 1992, and it's a honor for me to send a message all over from Mexico to my college and to see some of the achievements as a student and now as a professor. I would like to stress on some of the present positions which I am holding. The first one is the member of National Research System, which is one of the respected one, where I stand at level 2, and it's like our Department of Science and Technology in India. And the next one is I am presently holding the PhD coordinator of the PhD program, which is in my institute. And the next one is a member of National Technical Committee on Marine Information, which is directly related to the Government of Mexico. And the other one is I have been invited to be an evaluator of the National Postgraduate Program of Mexico, and this is an honor for me to be there evaluating the different postgraduate programs in the national level. And the other one is related directly to my research, where I am the member of the editorial committee of Environmental Monitoring Assessment Journal, which many people from your side would be knowing. The other one from the Indian side, I have been visiting professor in Anna University, Chennai, India for the past 3 years, and now recently during the last year there was an award for the academic achievements, Sir C.V. Raman Award, which was awarded first time from the University of Madras, that too for an alumni from the same university. These are some of the present activities which I am doing, and hope as a student I am happy to inform you all these activities. And coming to the important events which we handled, or which I handled, I can say this World Sustainable Development Forum is one of the biggest event which IPN, National Polytechnic Institute, was the organizing member, and I was handling the whole event along with other people in Mexico City. And this gave us an opportunity to meet the world leaders, to connect the world leaders, and I am happy to say that this event will be held every year in Mexico City, and our center and National Polytechnic Institute will be responsible for this event, which will be growing year by year. This event was conducted by Dr. R.K. Pachauri from the Nobel Peace Prize winner, as well as some of the prime ministers, past prime ministers and governors from different countries around the world. And these are some of the work which I did which are the highest work which I did during the past years. And now coming to the research part, which I would like to stress or I would like to show is, when I started my research activities, I was in zeros. I was not having a recognition. But when you see the research gate, the scientific network where the investigators or where the professors have their information, it's around 35 points. And I would like to stress on the importance of the quality here. And when you see the Google Scholar, it's around 20, the H index is around 20, and this significance reflects the quality of the research work which we are doing in Mexico and along with the collaborations. So some of nearly I have around 100 articles which are published in recognized journals, the Elsevier, Springer, Taylor Francis and Wiley, John Wiley. And if you see the list of journals which have been published, you can see Environmental Pollution, Journal of Arid Environment, Marine Pollution Bulletin, Chem de Erde, Environmental Earth Sciences, Continental Shelf Research, Ecotoxicology and Environmental Safety, Environmental Pollution, Environmental Monitoring and Assessment, and Marine Sciences, Ecotoxicology, Journal of Environmental Sciences, Boreos, Natural Hazards, Journal of Geological Society of India, Estuarine Coastal and Shelf Sciences, and the Mexican international journals like Revista Geológica de Mexicana and Geofísica International. All these are well recognized, and hope you people might know some of these journals, or you might have had published in these journals also. These are some of the examples which I have been doing and along with my research group. Now let me come to the topic which I have been familiarized and I have been specialized, the marine geochemistry or the marine sediment geochemistry. When you see the marine geochemistry, or when you talk about marine geochemistry, you have a complete system in the sediments where you can see the carbon cycle, the nutrient cycle or the nitrogen cycle, the oxygen cycle, all the whole systematic cyclic system can be seen in the marine sediment geochemistry. And this part have been we have been applying from in my research in different areas. So in this short presentation, I will be just showing some of the examples, some of the places where we have applied, some of the areas where we have applied, and all the images or the figures or the photos which I am showing will be part of my research work which has already been published. So it's a long history, but I am trying to make it as short as possible, maybe with around 15-20 minutes, so that you are not getting bored. And when you talk about sediment geochemistry, the first one will be identifying the pollution sources and the man-made effect of the industries, and identifying the geochemical process where you can classify the different type of elements. For example, the aluminium group of elements, the iron group of elements, the iron and Mn group of elements, the calcium calcareous elements, the rare earth elements, the light rare earths, the heavy rare earths, all these geochemical process can be identified in this sediment geochemistry. Based on the analysis, you will be able to calculate the different enrichment patterns of metals or the problems which are creating in the environment, and these type of calculations can be done using different formulas. And the other one is the toxic metal cycling pattern. I will show you some of the example how we are identifying the toxic metal cycle in the coastal area or in the deep oceans, and the other one is the identifying the historical events. The historical events signifies the paleo tsunamis or some climatic changes or the paleo tsunami studies, and these type of or the cyclones or the hurricanes which affect the different coastal areas or which often changes in different countries based on the climatic situations. All these can be done using the sediment geochemistry analysis or the marine sediment geochemistry. So you can see the importance of sediment geochemistry, how major role it's playing in in identifying different aspects of the environment. The first one I would like to stress is it's a simple way to identify in the geochemistry of sediments. You take surface sediments as well as the core sediments, which can be varying based on the type of area, topography and the type of sediments, and this can vary from few centimeters and up to meters. I have been on several cruise program in India as well as some programs in Mexico, and here we take the surface sediments as well as the core sediments, and you normally have to grind that carbon content and you identify the magnetic susceptibility, which can be done in the camp. Sometimes you can do it also in the field directly, and we are using the XRF which are available in my institute as well as in the Institute of Geology of UNAM in Mexico City, as well as other basic analysis geochemical lab which is all available in Mexico City as well as in the National Polytechnic Institute. So I would also like to give credit to my lab, which is a certified lab, which is an ISO certified lab, and this is the first laboratory in Mexico which is having this certificate. And now I would like to stress on the direct application, where my research group we are having a program called Blue Flag Beaches, that is the Vision 2030, where you create a baseline data for tourist beaches worldwide. There it is a simple work where the collection of sediment samples are done from different tourist beaches, the geochemical analysis of selected elements and identifying the man-made effects of these elements, some toxic elements or the the enrichment of elements or the man-made effects, everything can be identified, and these values are compared with the local geochemical values, the national or international certified materials, and finally this is being published as a baseline data set. Shortly you will be able to see, or we are preparing a web page to upload all the baseline data set which we have been producing worldwide, so that it is being used by all people who are doing research on geochemical analysis, especially along the shoreline region or especially along the coastal side. This will help to identify the different type of disasters which might happen or which could happen any time in future. These values which we are producing can be a data set which can be named as a baseline data set for a particular region. So we are trying to, that's what the name or the title itself you can see, it's named as Blue Flag Beaches and it's Vision 2030. To make this happen, already we have data available and we have published data available in the following areas. In Mexico, you have the Huatulco beaches, you have the famous Acapulco beaches in the Pacific coast, the Santa Rosalia region which has a large amount of mining deposits, the La Paz city which is on the Baja California region which is a tourist spot, And coming to the South American side, you have the Colombia, El Choco beaches, where you have the famous movement of the drug lord, and now it has been controlled. And the other one is the Ecuador, the beaches from Ecuador, which is close to Colombia. These are all published data. And coming to the African region, you have data from Durban, the Durban city, St. Lucia Bay, and Cape Town. These are all published data, and we have made this data available through articles. In shortly, we will be making them available, as I said before, we will be making them available in a web page. And from the Indian side, we have data from the beaches of Chennai and from the beaches of Mumbai. From Sri Lanka, we have Colombo, the beaches of Colombo, and from Malaysia, we are having the information from the Miri beaches, the city of Miri. These are some of the examples. These are some of the information which we already have published, and work is going on still in other areas. We are going to expand our network, and if anybody is interested, you can freely write to me and you can join in this collection of geochemical data. And some of the examples which I would like to show is during our field work in the Huatulco beach. This is in Mexico. We have around 10 to 11 beaches which has been certified for the blue flag, and you can see here where the people coming from abroad, especially the Europeans or the Americans or the Canadians or the people who come for taking rest or for an recreation, they will almost, or they often see what is the quality of beaches and how is the quality of beaches. So in Mexico, as it is an important tourist destination for many people around the world, we need certified beaches, so that we have the beaches certified, so that the tourist income always increases. This is one of the example from the La Paz beaches in north of Mexico, and this is one of the Professor Lakshmanan from India. During his visit, we made a field trip for the collection of sediments. And this is some of the examples from the Colombia, as well as some of the beaches from Miri in Malaysia. These are all examples which we have already done, and we are in the process of identifying other smaller beaches. And what I would like to show is the smaller one, is the abstract or the resume which we tell. And on the right hand side, you can see what are the things we have identified: potential ecological toxic index, the degree of contamination, that is based on the local concentration of metals, as well as the local background values, and the geoaccumulation index, the enrichment factor. And on the top you can see some of the graphs which we classify based on different beaches. There are nearly around 50 to 70 samples, and it is been covered with different beaches, not alone one single beach, it's been different beaches. So this is from the in the St. Lucia Bay, and this is from Richards Bay. Here also you can see some of the examples of the enrichment of elements from iron to mercury, where other elements manganese, chromo, copper, nickel, cobalt, everything has been analyzed. And below you can see a smaller graph where you have the index of enrichment, so that you can easily identify what are the elements which are identified in your particular sediment or in your particular beach. And this is a new study which we are introducing in the beach quality studies, that is the microplastics. The microplastic study, as this is the first time in Mexico it has been published, and in India it has been initiated recently, and this article has been published, and this is very important aspect in the beach quality studies, as it enters the cyclicity, the microplastic enters the cyclicity of the human health. So it's not alone geochemistry, it's not alone the study of geochemical elements. These type of plastic materials which are used by the tourists or which are used by the general public in the beaches, everything is reflected and everything is interrelated to the human health in the beaches or in any tourist region along the coastal region. So this is a study which has been recently initiated, and now we have started, we have data on the intestinal part where the microplastics are found, and that enters directly to the human chain. And this has been done through scanning electron microscope, which has been available in different institutes from IPN to other institutes also. So if anybody is interested to have these type of studies done in India, you are welcome to join this program also. And coming to the identification of cyclicity of metals, which I was talking, the cyclicity of metals is being done in the mangrove areas or the wetland areas as well as the coastal regions. This is being initiated not alone in Mexico, in India also, and this project which we initiated in Mexico was a wonderful one, where we had an opportunity to study about the sea lions, about the characters of sea lions, about the movements of sea lions in the Gulf of California region. These type of studies, these type of interdisciplinary studies where the metal cyclicity was identified, how it is affecting the marine organisms. So we had an opportunity to study the components on mangrove leaves, mangrove stem, mangrove sediments, coastal water, as well as the 72 different species of fishes from the Gulf of California, and as well as the sea lions which are available in that particular region. This was done in the Gulf of California region, and it was one of the product on it was one of the thesis, and it is one of the project of one of my student who recently graduated, Dr. Sujita Suresh Babu. And you can see the cycling of metals, where in the coastal region where you have some volcanic areas, where you have some subduction zone, and where you have some industries, where you have some port activities, where you have some commercial activities. All these takes place in the Pacific coast as well as some in the Gulf of California. I am insisting on these type of natural aspects, because in some countries or in some places you have all the aspects related to geology. For example, in Mexico, if you take the Pacific coast, you have the subduction zone. It is very close to the coastal side. If you travel around 20 to 30 kilometers, you will have the subduction zone, and it is an active volcanic region also. So you have the volcanic magma every time erupting from the particular region. So you have natural enrichment as well as the human man-made effects from the coastal region, which is from the industries. So you have to be careful in identifying which is the natural one and which is the external one, because people often make a blunt mistake. Whatever the elements are enriched, they tell that it is from the human man-made effect. It's not like that. You have to calculate, you have to see what is the local condition, what is the local topography, what is the geological composition of rocks, what are the river inputs, what are the mangrove inputs, what are the climatic effects or the hurricane or cyclonic effects, and based on that you have to decide which one, or you have to identify which one is natural and which one is external one, which is the man-made one. So this is a graph, or this is a diagram which one of my student made, where you can see how it is been, how the geochemical elements are cycling from one phase to other. And how the next one, the next part is the tsunami studies. As India has been hit by the tsunami, many people particularly in the coastal region might be interested and might be doing the studies related to tsunamis. And I had an opportunity to collaborate with my Indian teachers, Indian researchers, to do some of the tsunami studies, as well as we are also doing in Mexico. Recently we are going to explore more areas in the south of Mexico, in the Chiapas and the Oaxaca region in the south of Mexico, which is close to Guatemala. It is on the Pacific coast and it is close to the subduction zone. And here I would like to stress that we did some work in the Bay of Bengal for the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, and in that tsunami we made tsunami studies. We collected some core samples all along the coast from Chennai to Kadalur, and we had some geochemical analysis, and you can easily identify the stratigraphical sequence of elements. This stratigraphical sequence of elements clearly indicates that which are the sediments which are being transported from due to the tsunami waves, which are deposited during different periods, or which are transported from deep sea side or from the coastal side, or if it is a cyclonic event or if it is a storm surge, you can easily identify what are the different sediments. So these type of geochemical studies, that's the marine geochemical studies, helps us to identify the different important events in the coastal region. This will help us to calculate, this will help us to do further analysis, further modeling work for different aspects in the coastal region. So this is one of the application where marine geochemistry can be applied. And based on the results, based on your whatever results which you are generating from the surface sediments or from the core sediments or from whatever sediments from the coastal region which you are taking, you can clearly identify what is the external source. External source, again I repeat, it is the man-made effect and it can be easily identified. So people should be careful in identifying which one is the natural one, which one is the external one, or due to the industrial aspects. The calculation of enrichment patterns, normally we have to do using local composition of rocks, and that will be better one, because nowadays comparing with the upper continental crust or the North American shale is not a proper one, because it's a general concept. It's better we calculate or we use a local background value so that it is being calculated properly. The accumulation pattern or the accumulation of sediments or the accumulation of metals in different areas, and the famous Muller geochemical index, geoaccumulation index for different elements. This can be used to identify which one is the natural one, or here also you can identify the grouping of elements, the aluminum based elements, FeMn based elements, the calcareous based elements, the sodium potassium based elements, or the rare earth elements. All these can be calculated based on these geochemical results. And the other one is the provenance studies. You can identify from where the source of sediments is coming and from where the movement is taking place or where it has been deposited. So these are some of the aspects where your geochemical results or your marine geochemical results will help you to identify the use of natural elements, natural source as well as the external source. So I will show you some of the examples where you have some of the graphical In this slide you can see some of the graphs where you find the enrichment factors, because there are particular values where the enrichment factors, if it crosses value of 1 or 2 or something, depends on the metal. So, you have the metal enriched, and when you calculate the Muller's geoaccumulation index, you have different classes up to 6, up to 7, and some of the elements which falls on category 6 or 7 or 5, they are toxic elements, and you have to consider the local background values also. Based on this, you can make an assumption and you can make a judgment whether it is an natural enrichment or it is an external input. And these elements are always grouped together, or some of the external elements can be singled or can be seen separately. On the top right hand side, you can see there are some graphs which are indicating especially for the biological aspects, where some of the elements, if they are increased, it will directly affect the human health or it will affect the marine organisms in the particular region. So, these are some of the examples which I am trying to show you. And some of the diagrams which many people you might be knowing is the ACNK diagram, where you can classify the geological materials or the geological rocks or the sediments, the ACFM diagram, the aluminium, zirconium, titanium diagram, where you can classify or you can see from which phase the the sediments is coming from, and you can classify the sediments based on your local geocomposition values. The other one is the provenance. Some of the graphs based on your results, you can identify the provenance of the geochemical elements, where aluminium titanium graph, the titanium zirconium graph, the titanium versus nickel graph, it can easily identify the source, whether it is an acidic one or it is a basaltic one or the granite terrain or other intermediate terrain it is coming from. So, these type of results from the geochemical study or from the marine geochemical aspects can help you to identify the different aspects in the environment. And now I would like to stress on the interdisciplinary aspect. It is not alone the analysis, it is not alone the results, but now you have to give some importance to the society, or you have to give some results which can be useful for the society. Now, where it can be applied is the environmental management or the coastal management studies or the coastal management system in any country, or the economic strategic planning, where tourist aspects are taken into aspect or taken into account. And now recently in many countries we have the smart city development, where you have the smart city development projects in the coastal side. And finally, you can see the cyclicity of elements in the aquatic environment, which will always be helpful to any aspects which is directly related to the human health, because finally everything which what we are doing the analysis, what we are trying to do comes and rests or comes and finishes with the human health. So, this is an important aspect where you don't alone do only the geochemical aspects or the results, but you combine everything and focus on interdisciplinary aspect, so that it has an force, or it applies, or it is useful for the society, for the local government, for the national government, and for the other people who are doing research, especially on these coastal regions. So, with this short information, I would like to tell you that for the past 16 years I have been doing my research in various various countries, and I am not alone. As you can see from the photographs, there are many people from India, there are people from Mexico, And I would like to thank all my teammates, all my research collaborators who are present in different parts of the world. And this team is developing and it's growing day by day. And we have students who have graduated from this particular institute, the National Polytechnic Institute, and there are professors who are having experience and who are guiding us in this research team. So as you can see, you are also invited. Someday you might also feature in this innovative research team, which is seen all around the world, and hope I would like to meet you all during the next time when I visit VOC College, or when I visit India. And I would like to thank my teachers who have taught me, and I am at this level because of my teachers. Each and every one I would like to thank: Professor Kadirvel, Professor Chellasamy, Professor Balasubramaniam, Professor Trinjana Samandam, Professor Venkatraman, Professor Madan Jayapal, Professor Manivanan, Professor Ramanujam, Professor Radhakrishnan, Professor Chandrasekhar, and finally Professor Udayan Pillai. Each one of us, you have taught me and you have taught many students to grow like this, stage by stage. So I am proud to be a student, and I am proud to be an alumni of the VOC College, Thoothukudi in India. And finally, I wish to thank you teachers for bringing a good student like me, and hope the students community which you are teaching will also be coming out like this in the coming years. Thank you very much, and here's my email ID, and you can anytime write to me, and you are welcome for the PhD program, or if you have any inter-exchange aspects, or if you want to visit Mexico for any time period, you can freely write to me and you can ask to me, and we can have a good discussion when I am there or in my telephone also. And thank you very much, and I wish all the teachers, all the students and the community of VOC College good year of 2019, and hope to meet you all soon. Thank you very much, and bye bye.